already knew that Stephanie Bonehead White is not the coach for damn mind. And now with these recent comments from CaitlinClark, oh, we know
StephanieWhite is facing heavy criticism, and many believe she caused it herself. CaitlinClark recently shared the playing style she wants to follow, which ironically is the same style that White has openly disliked. Because of this, the tension between them is becoming clear, raising the question of whether StephanieWhite is really the right coach for CaitlinClark, or if this partnership was flawed from the start.
Last night, Fever superstar CaitlinClark joining the NBC Sunday Night Basketball pregame show. She was a special contributor for last night's Lakers-Knicks game.
You can see her here alongside Pacers legend Reggie Miller. She is back on NBC March 29th when the Knicks play the Thunder.
Here's what happened. CaitlinClark made her debut as an NBC analyst during the Los Angeles Lakers versus New York Knicks game, where she was asked which NBA player she studies the most and tries to model her game after. Clark's answer was Luka Dončić. She said Luka is incredible, not just for his scoring, but for his passing and ability to control defenders, using his body to create space. Clark added that she usually avoids contact and that studying Doncic's game is something she wants to use to improve.
Or someone you watch even more specifically because there's things in his game maybe you would want to add to yours in the league?
Man, I think Luka. Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. And I think the thing about him is he's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move where he wants him to go and he takes up that space and he does a really good job of either keeping the defender behind him or keeping him to the side. So I think that's something I can certainly learn from. I always kind of want to run away from the defense rather than absorbing the contact and taking up the space that they give me. So I think obviously he's pretty incredible. He averages like a 30-point triple-double. So he makes it look pretty easy, but I can promise you it's not that easy.
Yeah.
That was a strong and thoughtful answer, especially since Luka Dončić is widely seen as one of the most skilled players in basketball, making it natural for CaitlinClark to study his game. The problem, however, is that StephanieWhite has openly criticized Doncic's style, even discussing it on national television while commentating on a Dallas Mavericks game. She pointed out that when Dončić isn't playing, the offense looks more fluid, with better ball movement and more player involvement, essentially critiquing his ball-dominant approach. This creates clear tension as Clark admires the very style of play that White appears to question.
He knew that Stephanie Bonehead White is not the coach for CaitlinClark. Can StephanieWhite coach the game of basketball? Yes, but is she the right coach for CaitlinClark? Probably absolutely not. I don't think she is at all. I don't want her anywhere near CaitlinClark. Okay? Once you decided to... You put that girl at small forward in a damn bad...
Now the situation becomes especially awkward for StephanieWhite because CaitlinClark herself is a high-usage player whose game is built around having the ball, creating scoring chances, and setting up teammates. That style is central to Clark's identity, yet White has publicly questioned this exact type of ball-dominant basketball. Clark wants to emulate Luka Dončić by controlling the pace and embracing a leading role, while White seems to prefer a system based on constant ball movement and shared responsibility, highlighting two very different basketball philosophies. The tension is also reflected in how the Indiana Fever have been coached under StephanieWhite, with the offense often running through Aaliyah Boston as a facilitator, instead of consistently putting the ball in CaitlinClark's hands. This has strengthened the perception of a philosophical gap, as White prefers a motion-based system focused on constant passing and shared responsibility, seemingly lowering Clark's usage rate compared to the style that drove much of the Fever's offensive success during her rookie season, especially after the Olympic break, when the team became one of the league's most dynamic offenses. Clark was controlling games with pick and rolls, deep threes, and precise passing, making the offense more efficient and boosting wins. But with StephanieWhite's arrival, the structure shifted, drawing from a system she used with the Connecticut Sun and running more action through Aaliyah Boston as a facilitator. In this setup, CaitlinClark becomes just one part of the system instead of the main focal point, raising doubts about whether the scheme truly maximizes her strengths, especially since fans are tuning in primarily to watch Clark, not others, take the lead. Yet, StephanieWhite seems determined to restrict Clark's influence. The decision to move Clark to small forward was confusing. You take the best point guard in women's basketball and play her out of her natural position. That either shows serious incompetence or deliberate mismanagement. Either way, it's unacceptable. The fact that it even happened shows how disconnected StephanieWhite appears from the reality of what actually drives the Indiana Fever's success. The situation involving Ariel McDonald only made things worse. White wanted McDonald to run point guard instead of Clark, placing another player in the role where Clark thrives. Choices like that raise serious doubts about whether the coach is truly focused on winning or following some other agenda. Then, on national television, CaitlinClark said she wants to model her game after Luka Dončić, aiming to be more ball dominant, more creative, more in control of space, and more willing to embrace contact, which directly conflicts with White's philosophy. White has openly said she doesn't like the ball-dominant style Clark prefers, as she favors more ball movement and lower usage rates. This isn't a small disagreement, it's a fundamental difference in how basketball should be played. And at this point, the tension between the coach and the star player must be intense. Clark knows what works best for her game. She has proven it at every level, dominating college basketball with this approach and achieving tremendous success in her rookie WNBA season doing the same. Now her coach is trying to change everything to fit her own offensive preferences, which sets the stage for conflict and potential failure. There's no question that StephanieWhite can coach basketball, but whether this partnership can succeed under such opposing philosophies is another matter entirely. No one doubts White's coaching ability, but being a great coach and being the right coach for CaitlinClark are very different. Clark is a generational talent, built around controlling the ball, creating offense, and dominating games. White's philosophy of constant ball movement and lower usage directly conflicts with that. By trying to fit Clark into her system, moving her out of position, limiting her role, and prioritizing others like Aaliyah Boston, White risks derailing the Indiana Fever's offense, alienating their star, and impacting attendance. Great coaches adapt to elite players, not the other way around. If White doesn't let Clark play her game, the tension will only increase, and the coach, not the player, will bear the blame. This situation is a disaster waiting to happen.